So let me share this story. So the theme today, you've probably done the reading before I think that was on the program, right? So it's the Star of Bethlehem, right? Of
Yes.
course, that's always a beautiful theme, especially spiritually. And when you sit still for 8 hours, you know, you visualize light, you practice Kriya, and something happens. I can't go into details of what happens. It's so individual for everyone. But when you really have the willpower and, of course, the blessing that you do that and you do sit still for 8 hours, of there is always a little break, but more or less, then something happens. Something of that connection with the inner light happens. So, but I wanted first to share something that came to me in memory. Um, when I was a young child, my oldest sister, would play these old records. Actually, we had only one, an old no, we had lots, but only one with Christmas songs, Christmas carols. And so, we had a real Christmas tree with real candles. So we had to, so which was the reason was also then if we light the candles, we have to sit around the tree and watch it. Yeah? You're not just, you can't go from one room to the other when the real candles are on in a Christmas tree. So the atmosphere was very strong, even though I didn't grow up in a religious family at all. But so we listened to these songs, and now I go fast forward. In 2007, I spent, I think, a month in America, in California, and 2 weeks or 3 weeks in the village. And I was guest of a married couple. They were good friends, and at a certain point, the father-in-law, his father, he had an amazing collections of Santa Claus, like the Santa Claus who sings song, the Santa Claus who dances, and all measures, like a huge one and a small one, and all sorts. And so they decided that they would do a tour. So, which meant that especially the children, of course, in the community could come, and they prepared the whole house. It was a pretty big house with 2 floors. And so in every corner they could see and touch and then special Santa Claus. And I was the last Santa Claus, but I was alive, of course. And I had my fiddle with me, and I had like a button on my back. And if the children pushed the button, I started playing. But I had no idea what I was going to play. So I closed my eyes, and of course the Christmas vibrations, the Christmas atmosphere was all there. And then all these songs came up, the carols that I had heard when I was a child, and that you know, um, like I said, Christmas is not a very, it was not for me something that we went very deep into. Of course, here at Ananda, it means to me the 8 hour meditation. It's a period of great blessings, but not so much the more traditional part. So I don't know where all these melodies came from, but they just came up and I was able to play them, and the children were happy, and I was very happy. And so what I realized then is that in this period, when you can have these longer meditations, a period when people mostly are very busy socially with their families, and that is important too. Of course, that's very nice, and you want to be, you want to have a merry Christmas as well, not just a deep spiritual Christmas, but also just having fun. It has to be light. But all these deeper meditations that are happening, and by the way, we're also doing something tomorrow, and I'll tell you about that later. It just has the advantage that somehow um, you get in touch with what you actually feel, whereas um, the world, in every possible way right now, the world situation, and very often during Christmas, also family situations or friends, very often they it's beautiful, but sometimes there can be, you know, there is such a need to communicate continuously with each other, to talk and to listen and to talk and to listen and be together and cook. And that is all very wonderful. But if you touch the third dimension, which needs to be touched, then you can have a deeper experience. And it comes that I was thinking again about, the famous difference between feeling and emotion. Um, Emotion comes from Latin, and it means that it's a movement out of your center, basically. Whereas feeling just lives. It's not a move. It's hardly a movement. It's a form of awareness, and our deeper feelings are buried in our heart, you might say. And so, this whole period of Christmas, if we somehow just manage to use the symbols like the dove and the manger and and the Christmas tree and all those symbols just to connect with the inner light somehow, and for everyone that means something different, but then there is a good chance that somehow your deeper feelings can come up, just like those Christmas songs came up, um, in my heart again after maybe 40 years of not having played them or even heard them, maybe. So it's a different um, approach, maybe, to say, well, of course, we say we celebrate spiritual Christmas because we want to receive the omnipresent Christ consciousness in our hearts. And that means a lot to me. But I also realize that as I meditate, that I have to be careful that it doesn't just become words. You know what I mean? So I have to get to a space where my heart calms down and the deeper feelings come, and then I can actually feel all those beautiful things much better, at least. It may not be perfect, but the feeling of connection, inner connection, however, still gives joy. And there was also another reason why I like these long meditations. I mean, we can do them all every day and all year, but it's like the cross, the symbol of the cross, and the 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 horizontal piece represents our communication. Okay, so which means our contact with the world. We need to be in touch with our children. We need to be in touch with our parents, far away or nearby, or our relatives, our friends, and so we are constantly communicating, and that's wonderful. Now, the vertical piece represents communion, inner communion. So you have communication and you have communion. If the communion is taken care of better, then the communication becomes much more joyful and you don't lose energy in your communication. You can actually be with people, have fun, give love, give yourself, listen to people, and you're not even all that tired at the end of the day because the connection with that um, inner communion, that inner light stays somehow. It stays. Moreover, what I'm also experiencing is that like if I take a break from myself by meditating, then somehow my heart starts to also process whatever needs to be processed. Things happen, in your daily life, in your personal life. Things happen all the time. And this person hurts you, and that person wasn't kind, and this person, and then there's a misunderstanding there, and financially something is not working. There's always happening a lot, right? And we cannot process all those things with the mind. That is something that I've really come to realize over the past years. The mind only makes it more complicated. It creates complexes. But when you meditate, you don't think really with the mind, you focus the mind. So we focus the mind here. We try to, through our Kriya breath, if you have Kriya, you try to center your mental energy. You go more into the spine, and maybe you will start seeing and feeling some more deeper, more transcendental experiences. And in the meantime, the heart calms down and it can process. I really believe that um, a lot of things that happen to us, stay with us because we don't take enough time to just sit down and let it sink and let it process. And so you need to take time for that. So that's another reason why these longer meditations are good. And then, of course, you share. That's then more, again, more the yogic part of it, the, let's say, processing, and like I said before, and sitting down and going in connect with the deeper feelings of the heart, that is very spiritual, because Swami says that deep feeling is intuition. Deep, calm feeling is intuition. And intuition is the primary faculty that we need to evolve spiritually, to feel the divine presence in ourselves and in others and in the world. But um, even so, that could also be more psychological or human, let's say. But then, of course, there is the yogic element to it, that we try really to connect with the higher consciousness, with the Christ consciousness. And for that, we have all these beautiful symbols. I had the good luck that I had to teach a class on the deeper meaning of Christmas. And for example, so the first part I dedicated to the first and the third gospel, because the first is Matthew, the third is Luke, and they speak about Jesus's birth. And so I could meditate a little bit on the little baby, on the shepherds. The shepherds are vigilant, right? They are awake in the middle of the night, and they represent our quality of devotion, meditation, and something else that I don't remember. But the wakefulness. We are when we meditate, we are a shepherd, or we try to be shepherds of our own thoughts and of our own mind. We try to put our act together, put our mind again together, and offer it up. So, but then the gospel, what helped me the most in my meditations, not today, funnily. Today was more like the manger and the three wise men, and I could meditate on that, and it really helped me. But it's the fourth gospel of John, and especially one sentence that says, "The light shineth in the darkness, but the darkness comprehended it not." So I had to go deep into that and study what Master writes about it, and study what Swamiji writes about it. And of course, I also had to take it in myself and see what it means. And so I came to feel that first of all, the light shines in the darkness. That's the present tense. We are all walking around with a light within us. There is a light shining within us, in our heart, in our soul, in our mind. It's just part of our consciousness. But then it says, the darkness comprehended it not. That's just because we're not looking at it. We're not focusing on it. Our energy is sucked away by our vrittis, or our desires, or our worries, our regrets, or also by our to-do list that we have every day. So again, for me, just knowing that whether I see it or not, that light is there, gave me a lot of strength, consolation. I've had a few moderately difficult karmic tests lately, and this image, the light shines in the darkness, but the darkness comprehended it not. And then I say, okay, let me look where that light is. Let me try to see it. So, and then that light, you can do with it what you feel. You can visualize, because visualization, of course, is a very important tool to reach higher states of consciousness. First, you visualize, you have a visualization, and then maybe you get a vision. So everyone, that is the beauty of the path of Kriya Yoga, of Hatha, of Raja Yoga. It is so um, individual. No, you can say the light shines in the darkness. You close your eyes, you try to see the light. You can maybe feel that is Jesus, or that is Master, or that is some beautiful sun, or whatever you feel. You can meditate on it and take time to calm down and let that light shine. Why? Because light really gives us power. It gives us strength. It makes us emotionally strong. And that's what we need more than anything else right now. We need to become emotionally strong. We need to be able to recharge ourselves physically, but also mentally and emotionally. And so all the images that we have been given, that we are given, the teachings and the symbols of Christmas, there's just such an abundance. And so my prayer is that each one of you may somehow have some beautiful inner moments, and you will remember them, because um, time. So when you get to the real meditation, this is also something else. I gave a class, and then I'm finished. But I gave a class last Friday on how to prepare for this long meditation. And so one thing is, do not look at your watch. Never. In fact, I had my watch, I have it here. I had it on, but I looked at it once, but that was for a good reason. Because the people who were leading it said, now we will go on until I think it was 1:05. And at a certain point, I just needed to know how many kriyas I could still do. And so I looked at my watch only once. If you don't look at your watch, then time will cease to exist. If you look at your watch, it exists and it never passes. So that's a very good thing to do. And also realize that if you take time for longer meditations, then you may have experiences and you don't really even realize it. But every effort that you make uh, is a seed that you plant that makes your future karma a little bit lighter. So um, Gyanamata says maybe what you're doing now, you can have a meditation, a wonderful meditation, get out of it and feel stressed again. That's possible, because that's just possible. But that doesn't take away that in that meditation, you planted a seed. And maybe that comes as a spiritual seed. And maybe that spiritual seed will flourish in some distant incarnation. So we are really working on the business of freeing ourselves when we meditate. And even though it might sometimes not show, a period may go by, like I had when I was in my, a very difficult period in my life, and I continued to do kriya. Okay, so I could cry, I could feel despondent or whatever, but kriya never stopped. And only later did I realize how important that was. So so don't think that is for beginners who meditate. You learn to meditate because you want to learn how to manage your stress, or how to be have less anxiety. That's also very important, and that's wonderful. But then when you go deeper and deeper, you meditate because you're helping other people, of course, first. Your meditation helps others. And the other thing is, you meditate because you want to free yourself. And you trust, you have faith that if you continue to meditate, um, the Master will free you and God will free you in His own good time. But in the meantime, our time is now. And now is the time to plant seeds. So, and we get help, especially in the spirit. We get help from Jesus, we get help from the Masters. This is a very good time spiritually. It sounds funny, but I really believe it is. So that's my thoughts. Just one more thing about tomorrow. Um, Tomorrow is December 21st, so it's the shortest day of the year. There's a perfect conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in the air. When we were driving back from our meditation, we looked up in the evening sky and we saw it. It was beautiful. You see two planets, they're right like this. And of course, Jupiter is bright and Saturn is much farther away. It's also a little smaller. It's not so bright. But if you have a night sky, a clear night sky tonight, go into your garden and look up because you can really see them. They're very close. And so this, for the average mind, let's say, can create a little problem because Jupiter is the planet of Dharma and of wisdom and expansion, and he is debilitated in Capricorn, and he's together with Saturn, and Saturn is empowered in his own sign. So we are dedicating tomorrow. Still, we're meditating a lot together. We call it Jai Guru. So we want the Guru to win tomorrow. Guru, the Sanskrit name for Jupiter is Guru. Now, if you look at Saturn in the right way, the spiritual way, Saturn represents Sri Yukteswar. So that's also Guru. So if you call your day tomorrow Jai Guru, you're good in any case. You may have a Saturn day with a lot of contraction and challenges, or you may have and you say Jai Guru, Jai Sri Yukteswar, or you may have see some light and get some relief and some consolation, and you say Jai Guru to Master. So we're doing that tomorrow. We're singing a lot of mantra. So I'm just saying that would be a good idea. You don't need to come together like with the 8-hour meditation, but just you can make a schedule so that I know that Isabel's doing 30 minutes of mantra from 10 to 10:30, and Eric on some other day, on some other time slot. And I think that would be a helpful thing to do because the world is pretty much in turmoil, not only America, by the way. So I'm just saying. All right. So how are you doing?
That was great. I just have a couple questions about that, what you just said. So can you, one, share a little bit more, because I know you do dabble in the astrology, about that conjunction? And two, did you say that you guys are doing a formal program tomorrow, or you just sort of arranged a more informal thing and you were suggesting we might do the same for our group?
Yeah. So of course, we have a community center. So for example, I'm on schedule tomorrow at 10 o'clock to go there, and I hope I can do the mantra. And by the way, the mantra that is recommended is probably Gayatri Mantra. That's what I think, because that empowers the spiritual sun, and it's just a very good one. Otherwise, you can do Mahamritam Jaya Mantra. But I think if I get a chance tomorrow to lead people in mantra, then I'll do the Gayatri Mantra. But we have a program. So basically, there will always be some people meditating together. That's how we've set it up. But you can do the same online. You can just make a quick schedule, and then with Google Calendar, whatever, and then people can just say, okay, I can do something from whatever suits you, and then should start maybe preferably in the morning, like 7 o'clock, and it goes on until, I don't know, evening time. But you're many people, and it doesn't have to be much. You can also say one person says, okay, I will be praying for the world at 9 o'clock or at 1 o'clock or at 3 o'clock. And that is fine too. That's just good. Another person likes mantra sing, another person says, I'll do 48 kriyas. So everything is good. Do you want me to? Yeah, I mean, we're doing it. It was Kirtani's idea, and I'm obviously all for it because, it's already shaky, the world. And when these planets come together, something that happens very rarely in such a way, then it might become even more interesting. But we're yogis, so we call it interesting. We don't say catastrophic. We say, oh, that's interesting. Anyway.
So was there more to share about what the significance of it is, or?
Well, I'm not an astrologer. I can send you the article that my teacher of astrology wrote about it. I'll send you the link. Well, it's just the Jupiter in Capricorn is always difficult because it is debilitated. And Jupiter, like I said, usually brings abundance and wisdom and optimism. Saturn, in his good aspect, positive spiritual aspect, brings the power to do things. So you might say Jupiter gives the idealism and the inspiration and the ideas, and Saturn says, okay, now do it. And so you start organizing, and you go to the phone and you call people and you do it. So you could also say when they work together, that's just fine. But in more a worldly point of view, and also emotionally for many people, I think Saturn can be a challenge, definitely. So you want Jupiter to be strong. And Jupiter, like I said, means guru in Vedic astrology. It's the guru of the gods, the teacher of the gods. So you want to follow him. You could also visualize it like this. A master says, okay, I'm going back to India. I'm going to spend some time in my guru's ashram. For anything you need to know, call Sri Yukteswar. I'm not available for a while. And so Sri Yukteswar, you can call him and say, I have such an emotional, oh, well, meditate. Bye, love you, bye-bye. No, I won't say love you. He doesn't say that. He feels it, but he doesn't say it. Yeah.
Well, folks, let's open up. I see a lot of people have opened up their cameras, and if you want to ask any questions, you can.
Or just share something. I'd love to know how you're doing.
Yeah, and just know we are on Facebook, and it looks like Supriya is ready to ask a question.
Hey, Supriya.
Hi. No, I want to just say, and following up with what you suggested, we'll see if that takes any formal kind of or informal kind of happening. But at 8 a.m. every Monday morning, so tomorrow morning, Mallory leads a meditation from 8 until 9 o'clock. I just feel that would be the absolute wonderful way to start. I'll be there, and I know a few others will be there, but we'd love to have more. It's Christmas. I know there's such a busyness, but at the same time, like you said, Darshan, if we just keep tuning in even more efforts into the spiritual of it, then all of our busy stuff also gets more spiritual, and the remembrance happens. And so Monday morning, 8 o'clock, come online and meditate with us.
That's a wonderful idea.
That's.
I'm sorry I can't be there, Mallory. I'd love to be there. But that's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here, and I don't think I can make that. But yeah, that would start it off. That's beautiful.
Well, everyone else online, no guilt here, but you can be there if at all possible. And if not, if you have to work or do something, still have it in your mind. This is happening. Guru Bhais are gathering to meditate together. It's very powerful.
Beautiful.
And the Christ consciousness is so strong right now. It's any kind of group meditation or individual is a real blessing.
I think so too. And it you're many people. It doesn't have to be big. If you have you create 3 or 4 moments during the day, then at least 1 or 2 people can join. It always works a little bit. Or also to know it of each other. So if you can do it online, then maybe that person can do something at that time. So yeah. And then of course, sorry, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is if folks are interested, they could put it in the chat box now, and we can sort of start to organize a fortress of, a bastion of spiritual power for the solstice.
Well, and I was going to say, I kind of like the idea of chanting the Gayatri.
Yeah.
What do you say after the meditation tomorrow that we just slide right into doing an hour of Gayatri?
You mean online for an hour?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Can we play
He's in
this?
charge.
I didn't check it with her first, but
He's in
so
charge.
I'm probably in trouble now. But
No.
There.
There you go.
California is also meditating at that time. I know there's a 2 hour or hour and a half meditation in California, because I typically go straight from Mallory's to California to Dion and his wife, Archie. But could we put the CD on right at the end and just have...
Yep.
Oh, let's do it. So there's the beginning.
Chant the Gayatri for an hour. It's very powerful.
From 8 to 10, we have meditation and then Gayatri. Anybody can
No,
jump on at any time.
8 to 9, right? And then go.
Well, 8 to 9
is
would be the
regular
meditation.
and we'll just segue right into doing the Gayatri.
You know, I was listening earlier. The people, the Satya Sai Baba organization, you know, Satya Sai Baba of India, did a 24-hour Gayatri Mantra that just ended a couple of hours ago at 10 a.m. I didn't really know about it or participate in it until right at the end, but it was just so beautiful. They just chanted, as you can imagine, kind of like, what's that day that everybody does 24 hours? In February? Shivaratri.
Yeah, Shiva.
It's kind of a 24-hour thing, and it was so beautiful, but they were doing it for Christmas. And just think of that. I mean, in India, doing that beautiful thing for Christmas. And I was just thinking all around the world, I'm not going to any family gatherings. And so it's interesting. I was looking over Supriya and Maitri, and Mark, that Ananda events that are happening all around the different world, in Mumbai and here in Palo Alto. And just, it was kind of like looking at a menu and choosing. Unique that we have an opportunity now to not be so distracted. I hate to say distracted by family things, but you know what I mean. It's more our spiritual family. So it's really sweet in that way. And what you were saying, Darshan, about, you know, becoming silent, you know, I'm doing my best nowadays not to even try to daydream or idealize things too much. It's funny just how distracting my own thoughts, even just during the day, can be. And there is something beautiful in silence that sometimes we're really hard on ourselves, and I'm very hard on myself sometimes. That silence helps me step off of that. And Christmas is such a great time for, you know, Christ was all about forgiveness. And so anyway, that's how I feel this.
Yeah, thanks.
And
Thank
I was
you.
just going to say real quick, Eric said something about it's like menus out there. And so if you're interested in seeing more of what's coming up in the next week, that's being provided by Ananda Worldwide, it's in the chat box. A few messages back, but upcoming Christmas week events, of which there are several, that we can join. So
the answer to the question, you're singing a special mantra, so that would be Gayatri Mantra, definitely. And then Mike says 108. So that's what I did during the first lockdown. It was in Italy. It was around March. And so I did one time, I chanted online through our Facebook 108 Mahamritum Jaya mantra, and the other time 108 Gayatri. It's much longer. So the Mahamritum Jaya was finished in 40 minutes, and Gayatri like 50 or 55 minutes or so, or maybe even an hour. So that's interesting too.
I have a question. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
A few Sundays ago, we had a question about wise is the sage who determines that action is, or inaction is better than action, and inaction is better than action. It was like out of the Gita that you're able to like move the energy as if it were happening in real life, but you're silent in your mind. Can you elaborate on that at all?
That is always, I've always found that a little bit a difficult sloka from the Gita. So he says there are two types of action. One is inaction. I think he says the other is action, but the best is right action, he says. So, and to know what right action is, I think what you need to do is just to see, to look at the standard, like what gives me peace, you know? If you do things and you feel that you're losing, that your heart gets restless and you're losing energy from your heart, then gradually stress will set in, and then that is not right action, because action is not only what you do, action is also the attitude with which you do it. That is also part of the whole scene. So if you manage to somehow stay connected with the space inside of happiness and get back there occasionally during your days, and then just, you know, go through your life, because it's not that we need to do all sort of special things. I mean, saints sometimes clean their house, or Teresa Neumann from Germany took care of birds and of a garden. And of course, she had correspondence with people. So it doesn't really matter what it is you do. You have your job, maybe you have your house, you may have family. So you do what you have to do, but whether it's right or not is determined by if you feel that you're on the right track inwardly. So if you feel that you can somehow preserve your peace a little bit. I know that it's all very difficult for people to preserve their peace completely. That's just very difficult. But at least a little bit. Don't get too much out of your center. And then when you get back into your center, you can introspect on it and see how you've been doing. So it's all about searching the right action. And right action means that you act with the right attitude. And the right attitude means that you are connected with the universe. You're connected with God, and the action and that energy flows through us. So that is the classical definition of karma yoga, of course. But in practical life, I think it just means stay in touch, keep your heart, keep watch your feelings, watch what's going on in your heart chakra. I don't know if that's an answer, but
thank you.
You did a Bhagavad Gita class lately?
No, I just listened to it on repeat at home for it'll be coming on 7 years here now. I just listen to it all the time on repeat on my stereo. So I'm trying to memorize. Wow. I'm trying to memorize it, but
wow, powerful. Must be powerful.
Swami is able to speak the whole thing on the audiobook, and so I can stay in the magnetism while he's talking. And then it also is telling me how to become self-realized. So I'm thinking that I'm going to become self-realized by, I don't know, mastering all of those slokas. But every time that I get into that, it's like the next one comes on, and like I've heard it 1,000 times before, but the time that I hear it now, I hear something completely different. It's completely level upon level upon level that it just blows me away.
But that's also the beauty of it, you know. It's not a straight line, basically. It's a discovery voyage, a discovery journey. You never finish. You never finish, basically. But that's the beauty. I like that about it. Just a sense of adventure you need to have. And I mean, like, I'm reading Swamis and Masters books. I've been reading them for decades now, and it's always different. You're quite right. So because it vibrates. Yeah.
I think of it as the lens of our divine sight is becoming more in tune, more focused, and that's the journey, you know.
Yeah,
each
over the
time.
years, if we do our kriya, especially if we make use, then the spiritual growth, it's very hard to measure. But sometimes you go through a period, and at the end, when you get out of it, you realize, oh, I've grown a little bit, and that's a great joy. You may be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit freer inside, a little bit more creative, a little bit more, less irritated, or more giving, or whatever it is. And then you realize it, and that's always a beautiful moment. So, but you might not you don't realize it all the time. Just those are special moments when you realize it. So,
Anybody else?
Isabel, how are you doing? How's Daniela doing?
Well,
Because we're
Daniela is
with
in
children too,
Colorado.
bro.
Daniela is in Daniela is in Colorado right now.
Oh,
Yes, and I'm just relaxing a little bit after a really interesting semester
yeah.
with the students. But it has been good so far.
Mm.
Good.
All online. So is Dallas locked, basically?
Well, no, it's not all online. We have students in person and students online. So you need to, we are trying, still we don't have the technology to do that properly, especially in a foreign language. It's really difficult to teach Spanish like that, because you try to do debates, with students at home and students in the class, and technology is not that good still now. And the internet connection the same, but it's okay. It's interesting. I don't know. I'm enjoying, but it's like double work for the teacher. Yeah.
So I'm glad you got a little time off now, right?
Yeah, I'm glad too. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, we were in touch with Ananda Espanol the other day, with Bhakti Mark from the village, and a lady from Brazil. We had a long talk about getting things more working together, and because Spain is in Europe, of course. But so yeah, it was interesting. All right. So there's more children. Yeah.
I was just going to say, for anybody who may not have the chat window open, Jyoti says that she's playing the Gayatri, Mahamrityunjaya, Mahamantra, and Mahamrityunjaya mantra at her house from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. tomorrow. All of you are welcome to come and go during this time. The main door will be open. I'll have crackers, cookies, and water bottles. And she'll send the address to Maitri, and we'll send that out through WhatsApp, I guess. I don't know. We'll figure out a way to get that out there to everybody.
Wear your mask.
Yep, wear your masks.
Oh, this is in person. Oh, yeah.
I guess it's in person, but maybe we can discuss with her that we can tune in some virtually. Maybe we can get a Zoom.
I think that would be great. Have it on a Zoom link as well for those of us who aren't doing in person inside.
Right.
Well, we can still tune in.
And she lives out a little ways too, so it might not be that.
Is this the new house?
No, I think this is the old one, but I'm not sure. Maybe Jyoti, if she's still on, can clarify that.
She's there.
Maybe she could put that in the chat box rather than asking Mayatri to send it to everybody. If you're comfortable doing that, why don't you do that?
She already put something in the chat. Hi, Darshan. Very nice to see you.
Hi, Mike. Good to see you.
Yeah, you asked us how we're doing and everything, and one of the big boons for me this year is I joined the Ananda online out of the village. They had an 8-hour meditation, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time yesterday. It was absolutely amazing. All the younger people there were leading it, and singing and chanting, and people like Brahmachari Sagar, Jitendra, Jayanti, Arati, and Dion, and then this Katarina and Ben are running the Expanding Light Ashram. So that's been a boon for me. I started working from home in March and then joined that in time for Spiritual Renewal Week. And there's so much going on. They give you discounts to things like the next one, they're going to do 108 Mahamrityunjaya mantras, Krishna Das and Prasad over the new year. It's called Empower Yourself for the New Year. That's out of Ananda Village also. So they're going to do, there's a recording of that, of them doing 108. And I've experienced that in person doing 108 where like Gyandev was saying it and then Diksha was counting on the beads. And it was like at the beginning, it seemed like it was a lot, and then I got used to it. And at the end, I never wanted it to end. I decided the rest of my life, I don't want this to end. It's just a beautiful experience. And then in the 8 hour yesterday, just like you said, you don't look at the watch, you don't count your kriyas. It's like I just thought to myself during one of the meditation periods, Darshan, I'm going to hold my beads. I'm going to do 108 kriyas during that. And it's like, I'm not trying to count them or anything. I'm just going to breathe kriya. I'm just going to go inward more. And that's just how I'm living. And then at the end, I guess I'm done. But then like Jyotish and Devi on December 4th gave a first kriya initiation. And it's like, you're baking the cake during the 108 kriyas, and then you sit there and eat the cake. So I love that. Everything's for my wife and my kids, and I've been working from home. There's my work computer right there. And nice to see you.
Yeah, you look well. In fact, you look very well. And that's good. That's exactly.
More meditation. Honest to God, more meditations helps me solve things on all levels.
Yeah, definitely. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Unmute.
Hello, Darshan.
Hey, ¿qué tal, amigo?
¿Cómo está, caro amigo? This is always funny because I try and talk to you in Italian and then you try and talk to me and practice your Spanish, but I love it. I just want to say hello, and it's a blessing to see you. It's wonderful to see you. And remind everybody, since we're talking about adding more meditation this time of the year, we had a wonderful talk a couple of weeks ago at Saiganash from Palo Alto. And he reminded people that Lord Krishna said in the Gita that perhaps it's the lunar month. I'm not familiar with the Indian calendar, but the time between December 15th and January 15th is the most powerful time. And Krishna said that that's his month, that he is in that month. And so the veil between the world and the astral world is much thinner. And you can really, really just tune into that. It'll make your meditations easier if you do that, raise your consciousness that way. So it's really beneficial. If you already meditate a lot, then it would be even more powerful. If you're just a beginning meditator, then you can piggyback on this energy of Lord Krishna and really expand your meditation at this time of year, because we're really going to need it. Also, one more thing, it's wonderful to see all these yogis around the world with the same consciousness that we talk about, this change in Dwapara Yuga, because as you know, scientists are saying it's going to be really tough in January as we get the surge from Thanksgiving just hitting now and the Christmas surge. But a phrase that I heard from one of these yogis really tied into what we believe in and tune into is that what the ego sees as dystopia in this current time, starting back in March, may well be utopia to the higher self. And so it's an opportunity for us to tune into that consciousness and see it as a purification. But it takes some intuition, like you were saying, and it takes sadhana, and it takes practice, and above all, meditation. And so I just wanted to share that it's wonderful to see people around the world, other yogis from other branches, also with the same perspective that we try to tune in during these interesting, as you were saying, times. But that's all I have to share. It's a blessing to see you, and thank you for sharing your wisdom and energy with us. Grazie mille.
Prego, prego. It's great to see you too. And yeah, this connection, we know we are connected. I mean, through me, I mean, I sometimes talk about Dallas here with my friends here, with the ministers here, and everyone knows that you exist, that you're there, that you're trying to make things happen, that you are family. So that connection will always be there.
We need to have more of our CC friends come on. We've talked about, what do you think the likelihood of us being able to get, say, Shivani or Kirtani or Anand on?
Run it by me. If you run it by me, I'm a very good secretary to these people. They forget their appointments, and so I'll make sure it happens. So yeah, Shivani would be a wonderful one. Kirtani is a wonderful one. They're all great. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, January or February, book it.
January, okay. All right.
Yeah, don't tell them. Just throw it on the calendar, and
I'll come with a proposal. Okay. I'll propose some dates. Usually, you know, in the past, Shivani is always gone January, February, and then she comes back in March. She always goes to India, and there's that's completely out of the question now. So she'll be here. She's also withdrawing a little bit. She's writing more writing, and but I'm sure we can get either her or Kirtani or both. You know, we'll make it happen.
Great.
Yeah, because
I'll send you dates.
As soon as we're able to travel, we're going to do that, a CC pilgrimage.
Absolutely.
So, you've not forgotten that.
Absolutely.
So Jyoti, do you have something you would like to? We're not on Facebook anymore, folks. So if you want to come on, it's always lovely to see everybody's faces.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if we were on Facebook because Marco, someone said you can just put the address on chat. I didn't want to give it on Facebook, so
yeah, we're off Facebook now.
Yeah, so I'll put the address in the chat box. And also I want to say this is the new house, and yeah, and it's still empty of furniture and everything. So if anyone wants to do a solitude meditation, you know, just sit by yourself, just walk into any room and go sit and meditate. And you know, you can do that if you want, if you don't want to be listening to the chant the whole time, but you can just walk around and do what you want, your own thing. And I plan on having paper lying around in different spots, so you can, because you know, you 8 hours, like what can you do? You can't do one thing and stay awake also. So I'll have paper. If y'all want to write the Gayatri Mantra, you can be writing that, you know, taking a break from just listening, and you can do different things.
Sweet. Wonderful.
Thank you, Jyoti.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want to say hi? Come on, Sonia.
Hi, Darshan.
Hola.
Buen día y buen Natal.
Gracias. Feliz Navidad.
Very nice to see you.
I see
everyone. How is the school now in Assisi? I'm curious.
School. So there's lots of changes here also in the community as usual. And it's like we always, you know, what I'm discovering and have been discovering, when normal people give up, we start. And I think that's a good attitude, because somehow, first of all, we're not trying to create a heaven on earth, but we're just trying to make things happen and manifest, you know, divine vibrations, etc. And so it's the same with the school. You know, there is a school now. It used to be, when I was active in the school, it was near the community. Now it's farther away, more in where people are. because we live on top of a hill, on top of a mountain. So obviously, but now that has changed, and we have Prem Jyoti, who is Mexican, by the way, and she lived for many years in the United States, I think in Florida, and she's a treasure, and she's doing an excellent job. And also there is a lot of teachers training going on. People do online courses first with Nitai, and now there is Cora, who lives in Los Angeles. She's Italian. Her husband is Mexican, and I work with me in the school, Cora. She's excellent, and she's now also giving teachers training. So in EFL, I think, especially when it comes to teachers training, things are going really well. So yeah, I really think so. And because also Nitai's staff, he's not doing it alone anymore. There are now other people who are doing it, and that is an investment. And then you have to see, sometimes I get tempted. People ask me in a school project, would you like to partake? And I say I can't, because I'm too involved in what I'm doing. But the memory of working with children 7 hours, 6 hours a day, it's all there. It's beautiful. So yeah, education for life is of course very important, and I hope it will continue. So, but I see Linda. How are Robbie and Leah doing? Let me see if the other children that I know.
So yeah, I guess
Linda
I thought you. But yeah, Leah and Robbie are well. They're out of school. They're enjoying that. So it's a nice kind of downtime, family time. Although we've had plenty of that lately, but they are going to school in person, so now they get to be home.
Give my love to them.
I will.
And to Jim.
Yeah, we all miss you.
I miss you too. Yeah. So what I like about this community, one of the nice memories, is that it's also a community of children. And so, because that's the first thing I got drawn into by Gayatri was because of the children. So I hope that will continue in the future. I'll keep all the children in my prayers as well. That makes a wonderful community. So I look at you and I think of Daniela, and I think of Leah and Robert, and I think of Galen. Galen is no longer a child, of course. And I think of you, a school teacher, and always with children. And it's a beautiful thing. That also makes community.
Well, we're open? Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Anybody else have any other questions or anything else they want to share? And it looks like you're doing well in Italy. Here in Texas, it's we have a lot going on with the coronavirus, but we're more open, not because we're less surging, but just because of the way our state operates. But I think our Sangha is doing well, but we do find that things are getting closer to home. More people we know are getting the virus. So we're trying to all be mindful, and the prayer list is long. Let's put it that way. The prayer list is long, but all the more reason to keep diving deep and to keep having satsangs to support one another.
So Maitri, that's something I didn't share. During the first wave, let's say, the coronavirus was far away. During the second wave, we've had a few people here in the community who had it. They had it, and then they had their quarantine, and they got over it. So I've known. In the meantime, and like you say, it's no longer something that is far away. It gets closer, and I know in the meantime, among my acquaintances, I know people who had it, some relatives, and thank God it came and went. So, but I know that is not always the case. And so, God is our immune system. It really is. You think I'm going to chant mantra, that's just it. No, the vibration of the mantra will make you immune. That's how it works. It really does. There's no better immune system than God. And God just means sound. Sing, chant, do Hong Saw, do the Kriya. There's also sound, you know. It's all sound. And that's our immune system. It really is. And we can make other people immune as well by sending them prayers. So I wish you all a very, very blissful, special, deep, and beautiful Christmas. And we will be in touch. So in any case, January, February, Supriya will send me a few dates for Shivani. And thank you really for having me. I really feel part of your family. I really do. It's just part of my family, and I'm part of your family.